The last line of defense. The U.S. Aegis hung silently against the backdrop of endless stars, its crystalline hull reflecting the distant light of dying suns. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling anomalies that marked the boundary of the Omega sector. 3 years of solitary patrol had taught her to read the subtle patterns in the chaos, to sense when something was about to change. "Captain, we're detecting unusual gravitational fluctuations in Grid 7, reported Lieutenant Commander Marcus Wong, his holographic form shimmering beside her. As the ship's AI interface, he maintained a human appearance by choice, a reminder of the crew they'd lost when they'd accepted this assignment. Sarah nodded, her short black hair catching the light of a nearby pulsar. "Show me." The observation window transformed into a tactical display, highlighting a region of space where reality itself seemed to bend and twist. The Omega sector had always been dangerous, but these readings were different. They spoke of something stirring in the depths of prohibited space. Multiple contacts emerging from quantum space, Marcus announced, his usual calm demeanor showing hints of concern. "Configuration unknown. Nothing in our database matches these signatures." Sarah straightened her midnight blue uniform, the single platinum stripe on her collar catching the light. "Battle stations, but keep weapons powered down. Let's not start a war if we don't have to." The Aegis hummed to life around them, its hybrid human-alien systems responding to their commands with practiced efficiency. They were the last line of defense, the only ship permitted to patrol this region after the Concordat of 2785 had declared the Omega sector off-limits to all species. The unknown vessels emerged from the quantum wake like dark stars being born. Their hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making them appear as holes in space itself. Sarah counted 7 of them, arranged in a formation she'd never seen before. "They're scanning us," Marcus reported. "Their energy signatures are unusual. I'm detecting temporal distortions around their hull configurations." Sarah's hand rested on the neural interface panel, connecting her directly to the Aegis' systems. "Open a channel. All frequencies. Universal translation protocols engage." "Channel open." "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth vessel Aegis. You have entered a restricted sector under the Concordat of 2785. State your intentions or withdraw immediately." The response came not in words, but in images that flooded their neural networks. Visions of ancient battles, of worlds burning, of a darkness spreading between the stars. Sarah's mental defenses, honed by years of dealing with the sector's anomalies, barely managed to contain the flood of information. Marcus analysis. The AI's avatar flickered as he processed the data burst. "It appears to be a warning, Captain, or perhaps a memory. These entities, they're not ships in the conventional sense. They're more like echoes." "Echoes of what?" Before Marcus could respond, the Aegis' sensors screamed in alarm. The dark ships had begun to move, their formation shifting into an attack pattern that seemed to bend the very fabric of space around them. "Multiple weapon signatures detected." Marcus's voice carried genuine urgency now. "They're charging something that's creating quantum singularities." Sarah's decision was instant. Defensive pattern Omega-3. Deploy quantum barriers and prepare the phase cannon. If they want to dance, let's show them how humans do it. The Aegis' crystalline hull began to pulse with internal light, layers of quantum shielding spreading out like ripples in a pond. The phase cannon, humanity's greatest breakthrough in weapons technology, hummed to life beneath their feet. "Captain," Marcus's voice was quiet now, almost reverent. "I'm detecting something else. The anomalies in the sector. They're responding to their presence. It's as if the sector itself is waking up." Sarah watched as space itself seemed to twist and turn around them, the usual chaotic patterns of the Omega sector forming into something more deliberate, more conscious. In that moment, she understood why humanity had been chosen for this task, why the Aegis patrolled these borders alone. They weren't just guarding against intruders. They were watching over something that had been sleeping for eons, and now it was beginning to stir. All hands, Sarah's voice carried through the ship's neural network, steady and determined. This is what we trained for. This is why we're here. Whatever comes next, remember, we are the line between order and chaos, between the known and the unknown, and we will not falter. The dark ships moved closer, their very presence causing reality to buckle around them. Behind them, the anomalies of the Omega sector began to pulse with an ancient rhythm, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. The real battle for the galaxy's most dangerous zone was about to begin. The ancient warning. Time seemed to freeze as the dark ships and the Aegis faced each other across the void. The quantum barriers hummed, their energy field distorting the very light around the ship. Sarah could feel the Aegis's systems through her neural link, each power fluctuation and sensor reading becoming an extension of her own consciousness. "They're transmitting again," Marcus announced, his holographic form solidifying beside her. But this time, it's different. The neural network lit up with new information, but instead of the chaotic flood of images from before, this was structured, almost like computer code, but far more complex. Sarah's augmented mind began to process it automatically, years of training kicking in. Its coordinates, she realized, her eyes widening. They're pointing us to something within the sector. Marcus nodded, his expression grave. Specifically to Grid 11 Alpha. That's where we detected those unusual quantum signatures last month. Sarah remembered. They'd avoided that region after their probes had shown temporal instabilities that could tear apart even the Aegis' reinforced hull. Could be a trap. Could be, Marcus agreed. But these entities, they're not behaving like any hostile force we've encountered. Their weapon systems remain charged but not targeted. It's almost like they're testing us. Sarah finished. She straightened in her command chair, decision made. Plot a course to those coordinates. Full quantum shields, and keep the phase cannon ready. Whatever game they're playing, we'll play it on our terms. The Aegis moved through space like a ghost, its crystalline hull adapting to the surrounding quantum fluctuations. The dark ships followed at a distance, their presence causing ripples in reality itself. As they approached Grid 11 Alpha, the sector's usual chaos seemed to intensify. Streams of quantum energy danced across their shields, and temporal eddies threatened to pull them off course. But the Aegis held steady, its hybrid systems compensating for each new distortion. Energy spike. Marcus's warning came just as a massive burst of light erupted in front of them. When it faded, Sarah found herself staring at something impossible. A structure hung in space before them, its architecture defying physics itself. It seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once, parts of it disappearing and reappearing as if breathing. Its surface was covered in markings that seemed to shift and change even as they washed. Marcus, analysis. The eye was silent for a long moment, processing. "It's old, Captain. Older than any civilization we've encountered. The quantum dating systems are having trouble processing it, but preliminary estimates suggest it predates the formation of the Milky Way itself." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "Can we communicate with it?" As if in response, the structure pulsed with internal light. The dark ships that had led them here moved into a new formation, creating a perfect geometric pattern around the ancient artifact. Suddenly, the Aegis's neural network exploded with information. But this time, it wasn't just images or coordinates. It was knowledge, pure and terrifying in its scope. Sarah saw the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth and death of galaxies, and a darkness that threatened to consume everything. "Captain," Marcus's voice seemed distant. "Your neural patterns are destabilizing. You need to." "No," Sarah gritted her teeth, forcing her mind to process the flood of data. "I need to see this. We need to understand." Through the pain, through the overwhelming flood of information, Sarah began to grasp the truth. The Omega sector wasn't just a dangerous region of space. It was a battlefield, the site of an ancient war that had nearly torn reality apart. The dark ships weren't enemies. They were guardians, like the Aegis, chosen by powers beyond comprehension to watch over this place. And now something was stirring in the depths of forbidden space, something that had slept for billions of years, waiting for the right moment to awaken. Marcus, Sarah's voice was steady despite the sweat beading on her forehead. Send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we were wrong about everything. The Omega Sector isn't just a hazard to be contained. It's a weapon, and someone's trying to use it. The structure pulsed again, its shifting surfaces beginning to align into new patterns. The dark ships moved closer, their presence somehow reassuring now that Sarah understood their purpose. They weren't alone in their vigil anymore. But the true test of humanity's worth as guardians was just beginning. Betrayal among the stars. The message from Earth Command came 3 days after their discovery of the ancient structure. Sarah stood in her ready room, Marcus's hologram projecting the face of Admiral Joe as he delivered news that made her blood run cold. The Centauri Alliance is claiming jurisdiction over the Omega Sector. Zhao's weathered face showed signs of strain. They're citing pre-Concordat treaties and bringing evidence that their ancestors were the original guardians of this region. Sarah's jaw tightened. That's impossible. The dark ships are being called a hoax. Zhao cut in. Or worse, a human attempt to militarize the sector. They're sending a diplomatic vessel to your position. The Starweaver. You're to give them full access to your findings. The neural link hummed with Marcus's concern. Sarah could feel his unease matching her own. Sir, with all due respect, what we've discovered here, it's beyond political jurisdiction. The whole sector is about to become the center of an interstellar incident unless we handle this carefully. Zhao's voice softened. Watch your back, Sarah. Something about this doesn't add up. The transmission ended, leaving Sarah staring at the stars through her viewport. The dark ships had maintained their vigil around the ancient structure, their presence a constant reminder of forces beyond human comprehension. Marcus, what do we know about the Starweaver? The AI's hologram flickered as he accessed the database. Centauri diplomatic vessel, officially. But I'm detecting inconsistencies in their registration. Their power signature is unusual for a ship of that class. Unusual how? They're running quantum shielding similar to ours. Military grade. Marcus paused. Captain, I've been analyzing the data burst from the structure. There's something you need to see. The ready room's holographic display came to life, showing complex patterns of energy that Sarah had come to recognize as the ancient language of the sector. But now, with Marcus's processing power focused on translation, new meanings emerge. It's not just a weapon. Sarah breathed, reading the patterns. It's a key. The whole sector, it's containing something. Something the ancients feared enough to rewrite the laws of physics to imprison. The Aegis's sensors chimed. Starweaver dropping out of quantum space, Marcus reported. They're hailing us. Sarah straightened her uniform. Put them through. And Marcus, run a full spectrum analysis on everything they do. Something tells me our Centauri friends aren't here for diplomatic reasons. The holographic display shifted, showing the face of Ambassador Venn. His characteristic Centauri bioluminescent markings pulsing with what Sarah recognized as suppressed excitement. Captain Chen, a pleasure to finally meet you. I trust you've been briefed on the situation. I have. Sarah kept her voice neutral. Though I'm curious about your timing, Ambassador. The Centauri Alliance hasn't shown interest in the Omega Sector for over a century. Venn's smile didn't reach his eyes. Times change, Captain, as do priorities. Now, about these dark ships you've reported. Our scientists are quite eager to. He was cut off by a sudden alarm. Multiple quantum ruptures. Marcus's voice carried real alarm. Captain, they're not alone. We have 8 Centauri warships emerging from stealth fields. The Starweaver's friendly facade vanished instantly. You'll have to forgive the deception, Captain, Ven's voice turned cold. But we've waited too long for this moment. The key will be ours. The power of the ancients will restore the Centauri to their rightful place in the galaxy. Sarah's mind raced through options, even as she felt the Aegis' systems preparing for battle. The dark ships had already begun to move, their formation tightening around the ancient structure. You don't understand what you're dealing with, Sarah warned. This isn't about power or politics. The sector is a prison, Ambassador. What's contained here is exactly what we've spent centuries searching for, Ven interrupted. Your ship is impressive, Captain, but you're outnumbered. Stand down, and perhaps we can discuss terms for Earth's cooperation in the new order to come. Sarah's hand hovered over the neural interface panel. Around them, space itself seemed to hold its breath, the quantum anomalies of the sector growing still, as if sensing the coming conflict. Marcus, she said quietly, initiate Protocol Omega, and send everything we've learned about the sector to Earth Command. Everything. The AI's hologram nodded grimly. It's been an honor, Captain. Sarah allowed herself a small smile as she faced Ven's image. You want to see the true power of the Omega sector, Ambassador. Allow me to give you a demonstration. She placed her hand on the neural interface, connecting fully with the Aegis' systems, and as the Centauri ships moved to attack, the ancient structure began to pulse with a light that hadn't been seen in billions of years. The battle for the galaxy's greatest secret was about to begin. The price of duty. The first shots of the battle tore through space like lightning, quantum energies clashing against ancient forces that defied comprehension. The Aegis moved with impossible grace, its crystalline hull channeling power in ways its designers had never imagined possible. Through her neural link, Sarah felt every impact, every surge of energy as if it were flowing through her own body. The dark ships had joined the fight, their mysterious weapons creating localized singularities that swallowed Centauri vessels whole. 3 enemy ships disabled, Marcus reported, his holographic form flickering as he divided processing power between combat systems and analysis. But they're adapting to our attack patterns. The Starweaver, Captain, they're channeling energy from the sector itself. Sarah watched as Ambassador Ven's ship began to glow with an otherworldly light, drawing power from the quantum anomalies that surrounded them. They don't understand what they're doing, she growled. The barriers between realities are already weakening. As if to confirm her words, space itself began to tear. Through the rents in reality, Sarah caught glimpses of something vast and ancient stirring in the depths between dimensions. The ancient structure pulsed in response, its rhythms becoming more urgent. Captain, Marcus's voice was tight with concern. I finished translating more of the ancient data. The prison. It's not containing a weapon. It's containing them. The ones who came before. The ones who nearly destroyed everything in their quest for transcendence. A massive blast from the Starweaver rocked the Aegis, overloading sections of their quantum shielding. Sarah gritted her teeth against the pain feedback from her neural link. Tell me. They called themselves the Precursors, Marcus continued, coordinating defensive systems as he spoke. They achieved technological singularity millions of years ago, but it wasn't enough. They wanted to become gods. The experiments they conducted began to damage the fabric of reality itself. Another blast, this one nearly breaching their hull. Through the tactical display, Sarah watched as 2 more Centauri ships moved to flank them, their weapons charging. The dark ships. Marcus's revelation came with growing horror. They're not just guardians. They're all that's left of those who fought the Precursors. They sacrificed their physical forms to become eternal watchers, keeping the prison sealed. Sarah's mind raced, processing the implications even as she guided the Aegis through another series of evasive maneuvers. And now the Centauri are about to break everything open. Marcus, can we still access the structure's systems? Yes, but... The AI hesitated. Captain, interfacing directly with that level of power, no human mind was meant to process that much information. The neural feedback alone could kill you. A bitter laugh escaped Sarah's lips as she watched another reality tear form, larger than the others. Better than watching the end of everything. Divert all non-essential power to the neural interface. And Marcus, it's been an honor. Sarah, wait. But she was already reaching for the interface panel, pushing her connection to its limits. The ancient structure's power flooded her consciousness, bringing with it visions of the war that had nearly destroyed existence itself. She saw the precursors in their original forms, beings of pure energy and impossible geometry, their mad quest for godhood threatening to unravel a cosmos. She saw the sacrifices made to stop them, entire civilizations giving up their physical forms to become the eternal guardians. And she saw what waited in the spaces between spaces, watching, hungry, patient. Through eyes blurred with pain, Sarah watched the Starweaver prepare for its final attack. Ambassador Ven's voice came through the comm, triumphant and oblivious. Your resistance was admirable, Captain, but futile. The power of the ancients will be ours. You want to see their power. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper, blood trickling from her nose as the structure's energy coursed through her. Let me show you what they were really capable of. With the last of her strength, Sarah reached through the neural link, through the structure's ancient systems, and touched the quantum fabric of space itself. The dark ships moved in perfect synchronization, their forms beginning to merge with the energy patterns she was creating. Reality held its breath as patterns billions of years old began to repeat themselves. But this time, humanity stood at the crossroads of existence, holding the line against forces that would destroy everything in their quest for power. And Sarah Chen, captain of the U.S. Aegis, prepared to make the same sacrifice the ancient guardians had made, to ensure that some prices would never have to be paid again. Humanity's stand. Time stretched and twisted as Sarah Chen's consciousness merged with the ancient structure's systems. Through the neural link, she became aware of dimensions beyond human comprehension, of the infinite layers of reality that the precursors had nearly destroyed in their mad quest for godhood. The Centauri fleet hung suspended in the quantum field she had created, their weapons useless against forces that predated the formation of galaxies. Through it all, Marcus's voice reached her, an anchor to her humanity. Captain, your neural patterns are approaching critical. You need to disconnect. But Sarah was seeing everything now. The dark ships weren't just allies. They were showing her the truth, sharing the knowledge of why humanity had been chosen for this duty. In their billion-year vigil, they had watched countless species rise and fall, searching for one that could understand the true purpose of power. Ambassador Ven. Sarah's voice echoed with harmonics that shouldn't have been possible, carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. You wanted to know the power of the precursors. Look. Reality rippled around them as Sarah channeled the structure's energy. The tiers in space widened, and through them, everyone watched in horror as massive forms stirred in the void between dimensions. The precursors in their true form, beings of such impossible geometry that merely glimpsing them threatened sanity. This is what your ambition would unleash, Sarah continued, blood now flowing freely from her eyes and nose. They weren't gods, Ambassador. They were addicts, consumed by their hunger for more power, more knowledge, more everything. They would have sacrificed all of existence for their own ascension. The dark ships moved in perfect synchronization, their forms merging with the energy patterns Sarah was weaving. The ancient structure pulsed with a rhythm that matched her heartbeat, recognizing in her what it had seen in humanity as a whole. Your species was chosen. Sarah addressed not just the Centauri now, but all who would hear, because you still dream of power, of godhood, of control. Humanity. We dream of understanding, of exploration, of connection. We're not perfect. We're far from it. But we remember what it means to be humble before the cosmos. Marcus's hologram flickered beside her, his expression a mixture of awe and concern. Sarah, the structure, it's accepting you as its new core. The ancient guardians, they're offering you their place. Through the pain and the overwhelming flood of information, Sarah smiled. Not just me, Marcus. All of us. Humanity isn't meant to be the new jailers. We're meant to be the bridge. With that understanding came power, not the destructive force the precursors had wielded, but something deeper, something that spoke to the fundamental connections between all things. The dark ships resonated with her revelation, their billion-year vigil finally approaching its end. Ambassador Ven's voice came through, shaken and humbled. "Captain, what are you doing?" "What humanity does best," Sarah replied. "Adapting, learning, growing." Through her connection to the structure, Sarah began to rewrite the very protocols that had governed the Omega sector for billions of years. The prison wasn't meant to be eternal. It was waiting for a species that could understand its true purpose. The precursors sought to become gods through force, Sarah explained, her consciousness expanding even as her physical form began to transform. They never understood that true transcendence comes through connection, through understanding, through accepting our place in the grand tapestry of existence. The dark ships began to dissolve, their ancient forms merging with the new patterns Sarah was creating. The structure itself was changing, its purpose shifting from containment to transformation. The precursors stirred in their dimensional prison, but not in anger or hunger, in recognition. This was always humanity's destiny, Sarah realized, her voice carrying across space and time. Not to guard against the darkness, but to help transform it. To show that even those who sought to become gods can learn to be part of creation again. Marcus watched in wonder as his captain, his friend, became something new, something that bridged the gap between humanity and the ancient forces they had been chosen to understand. "What now?" he asked. Sarah's consciousness stretched across the sector, touching minds both human and alien, sharing the understanding that had been waiting for billions of years. "Now we do what humanity has always done. We explore, we learn, we grow, and we help others do the same." The Centauri fleet hung in space, weapons powered down, as they watched the Omega sector transform. The tiers in reality sealed themselves, not through force or containment, but through understanding and acceptance. The precursors, touched by humanity's unique perspective, began their own transformation. And at the heart of it all, Sarah Chen, no longer just human, but not quite transcended, smiled as she realized that this wasn't an ending. It was humanity's first step into a larger understanding of their place in the cosmos. The U.S. Aegis would remain as a symbol, a reminder that strength comes not from the power to destroy or control, but from the wisdom to understand and connect. And in the transformed Omega sector, watched over by its new guardians, the next chapter in humanity's journey among the stars began. The end.